Hello and welcome to Emma Stoners. I guess that's what we're calling this because we have no better name. A 35-minute movies podcast. This is the podcast where we're going through Emma Stone's entire filmography and we're ranking and reviewing them. So yeah, each and every week we're starting from the beginning to the end, and we're going to just talk and review and rank every single one of them. I'm Cameron, and as always, I'm joined by. Are you Emma Stone's number one fan? Are we going to call you Emma Stone's number one fan, or are we just
I would like to think I'm up there, but I know you're also a pretty big Emma Stone fan.
I'm a pretty big Emma Stone fan. So I don't know. I'll have to try and battle out over the next few weeks to see who becomes Emma Stone's number one fan. But who are you? Are Awais? I just forgot to say your name. You're Awais.
Yes, I am. Yeah, and we're getting high on that Emma Stone content over the next few weeks. Where you could Emma Stoners.
What are you hoping to see over the next? I don't even know how many 15, 14 weeks of Emma Stone watching.
I'm excited to see the progression of her career because we were sort of talking about this when we were coming up with who we wanted to do next, and Vin Diesel was obviously our last sort of podcast topic, and that was fun. But I think that was maybe the reverse of sort of, in terms of like, he started out with sort of more artsy, sort of indie roles and progressed into more mainstream, very similar sort of stuff. Whereas Emma Stone, right from the beginning has had very interesting picks, but I feel like they just get stranger and better as we sort of go on, and I'm very excited to sort of dip into to revisit some old films, but also watch some of the new ones. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, I think she's got such a great filmography just looking at it, and you've got stuff like Superbad she's played stuff like Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which of course I'm a massive defender of, and I will defend those movies for a very long time. And then we've also got stuff like La La Land, which she won an Oscar for. I mean, Cruella just came out, and we'll be talking about that around the end of the year.
Croods 2 as well.
Yeah, Croods 2. I mean, she's got such a varied career with different things, and it is, the charting the course from the sort of like the high school comedies she starts off in, and then over to now. I mean, her next film is a Yorgos Lanthimos movie, like her second Yorgos Lanthimos movie. Yeah, so it's it's she's got quite a career. It's quite mad. So first we're talking about is Superbad, directed by Greg Mottola. That came out in 2007, which was Emma Stone's first movie. It stars Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, Bill Hader, Seth Rogen, of which it's loosely based on. I believe it's based on Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's life. Could you tell me what happens in this movie, Awais?
Yeah, so Seth and Evan, played by Michael Cera and Jonah Hill, they're best friends. They're inseparable, but they're coming to the sort of last few weeks of high school. And they usually, shunned by the popular kids, they sort of find their luck beginning to change when they're invited to a party and decide that they want to really sort of amp up the coolness and buy everyone alcohol. And Seth wants to get with Jules, who's played by Emma Stone, and wants to impress her. So it's sort of in their sort of pursuit of alcohol and sort of popularity. They get up to some just crazy stuff, really. I think is probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think this one of the films. This is one of the most iconic ones in our list. I think we saw it pretty iconic, very influential for the comedies, the sort of high school comedies that came out afterwards. I mean, you watch this now after seeing Booksmart, and you're almost like, this is just Booksmart but with men. It's so similar to that, but do you think it holds up? Do you think it still holds up as a comedy?
I do. I think it's fantastic. It's so influential. You sort of talk about sort of Booksmart being super bad with girls, but like I remember when Booksmart came out, and literally all the sort of poster quotes were like super bad but with girls. Like that's how iconic this film is. Every high school comedy was trying to be super bad. It gets the sort of heart right. It gets the sort of vulgar, sort of raunchy, crude humor right. It's just such a fun time. It's so wild as well. Like it's just like the film doesn't ever really stop for a second, and I like it's a lot to watch. Sometimes I think it can be a bit too much. Sometimes you need to pause it and take a wee breather.
Yeah.
But like that's what I love about it, and it's insane to me that this is Emma Stone's first film.
Yeah. You watch it back now and you're like, oof, how did I get away with that? Like there's some jokes in there that you're like,
oh my god,
oh boy, am I allowed to be watching this now? No, it's pretty intense for what it was, but that's Seth Rogen for you. I mean, you can tell that there is like grains of truth based on like his real life, because it is sort of semi based on his life, which is funny. I mean, I don't know if you've read or listened to it. Yeah, I downloaded Seth Rogen's new book, Yearbook, which is based on just all of his crazy stories from growing up, and some of them are so mental, but they're all the reason I loved it is because so much of it did remind me of this Superbad, and it's all that kind of sense of humor, which has just made me laugh and laugh and laugh. And yeah, this film is great. Really, it's like kind of, I don't know what the right word is. Maybe not stylish. Is stylish the right word? There's a lot of like odd direction choices, especially at the beginning intro sequence as well with the dancing. The title sequence is randomly 70s-esque. There's also random like filmography random film references in the I'm sorry the porn isn't directed by the Coen brothers. There's like loads of random wee nuggets for like of just really obscure film references for no apparent reason other than
just why not. I love that though, because to me these characters are nerds, and this is the best portrayal of like actual most of the time you see a film and you see a nerd in the film, and they've got this sort of stereotypical nerd look, and they're always they like really overdo it in terms of conversation to really hammer home the idea that these people are nerds. This film doesn't. They just throw little nuggets like that, which, let's be honest, if we're having a conversation, we're not we would say something like that. It's just like little sort of tidbits of like film references, things like that they just throw in there that sort of anchors the point but feels realistic as well. And I love that. I think I want to talk a wee bit about McLovin, because one of the most iconic gags in like film history, I think, is with the fake ID. Is so funny, and the robbery.
Funny. Yeah. People celebrate it on Twitter every year every time it's McLovin.
Every time it's his birthday. Seth Rogen's mom on Twitter gets involved as well, which is just I absolutely love that.
And he's based loosely on a person that existed as well, which is even funnier to me, which is brilliant. I mean, Christopher Mintz-Plasse plays Fogel, who gets a ID card which has McLovin on it, and he's carted around.
The worst ID card ever.
Yeah, he's carted around by these police officers for the entire movie who are batshit crazy, played by Seth Rogen and Bill Hader. It is the best like B plot going. It's one of the funniest things. I think Bill Hader and Seth Rogen have some of the funniest bits in this. I was doing some reading as well, and McLovin like is the least like cool, the least popular, least coolest person on the planet. But for some reason, this is like the night of his life. He pulls some girls, he gets all that, and there's a sex scene with McLovin in it. Yeah, and I was reading Christopher Mintz-Plasse was only 17 at the time, so his mum had to be on set for the sex scene. He was the youngest person there, and his mum had to be on set for the sex scene.
Yeah, because Michael Cera was 18 and Jonah Hill was 23. Which is weird because Jonah Hill looks like the youngest of the lot, I think. But that's exactly what we'd expect from Superbad, though. Like Christopher Mintz-Plasse, his mum's, having to supervise, which I just think is so funny to me.
It's such a movie, and I mean, it seems to be standing the test of time. I don't know when it will become unrelevant. I think it's probably going to have maybe a good few. It's got a good few more years left, but oh my, it's iconic.
But do you think it would ever not become iconic? If anything, I feel like it would just become like I feel like it would be. I feel like it would certainly become more and more dated. But I don't want to
become that guy though. I don't want to be like, the bloody comedy police are going to get to it. It's going to be all me. But like, there's some jokes in here. You're like, oh boy. I mean, like,
it's pushing it. It's pushing it for sure. But I don't know. For me, I feel it's such an iconic. Everyone knows Superbad. Everyone's seen Superbad. Yeah. Everyone loves it. Were you one of those kids? Because I remember when it came out, it was one of those sort of movies that I mean, I know I was too young, but it was one of those films that everyone was sort of watching underage.
You know what? I only watched it for the first time maybe 4 years ago now.
Yeah,
That was the first time I ever watched it.
I'm about the same, but I remember there was this sort of weird thing around Super. Like it was like cool to have seen Superbad if you were under 15.
Yeah, I was getting referenced while I was in high school and I hadn't seen it, and I don't think I was really conscious of it. I remember vividly seeing the poster for it though at the Odeon in Dunfermline while I was going to see I think it was that Superbad, and then for some reason the Step Brothers had like this massive. I don't know if you remember this. They had a massive book as like one of the cinema props. But yeah, no, Superbad poster stood out to me because I would used to stand waiting on my dad to come pick me and my mum up from the cinema, and I would look at all the posters that were all outside on the big racks and stuff, and the Superbad was always one I looked at. So I remember it, and I remember it being like a part, but I never seeked out until much later
recently.
on.
Yeah, I'm the same. I feel like I appreciate it more though.
Yeah.
Having sort of seen it later in my life. I've got a sort of fun trivia fact for you. So, no actual alcoholic beverage companies would give the film permission to use their. So all the alcohol in the movie is like fake, like brand wise, because just no company wanting to be associated with it.
Jesus Christ. And
they called it a boner. They called it a boner movie.
Well, are they wrong though? Let's be honest here. Are they wrong?
It's true. Let's be honest. But I think for me, one of my sort of favorite facts about this is Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg started writing this when they were 13.
Magic. And
it shows.
Is it not obvious? Is it not obvious as well?
Exactly. I just think that that just shows their talent as writers. Speaking of talent, one person we've actually not spoken about, funnily enough, Emma Stone.
Yeah, she's the heart and soul of this movie when you think about it.
I would agree with that.
It's the mission to get her beer for her party, and I mean, screen time's limited, but at the same time, makes her presence known. I don't even know what else to say. She's not got a lot of comedy bits. I don't think she's not got a lot of. There's not a ton of bits. There's not a ton of everything. But it's a solid first film. I don't know what else you want to add to that because it is so difficult to rate on.
She started. It's mad to think this is her first film, but she definitely started out sort of in a supporting role. I don't think you really watch Superbad for Emma Stone. I think she's a great. I love the balance she brings to it. I love the sort of. I feel like her character is a nice sort of contradiction to the humor. Sometimes I feel like that sort of heart and levity it's needed in a film like this, and I feel like her character does bring a lot to the other characters, but she doesn't get a lot of time to sort of shine on her own, which is fair considering it is just her first ever project.
It's still a big supporting role for her first feature.
Yeah,
it's still 100%. A big supporting role,
and it's obviously turned into this incredibly iconic film, and right out the gate, I think that just tells you a lot about the kind of actress she was and the choices she was making. But I think she's delightful in this.
Exactly. It really launched her. Have you got anything else you want to add? Have you got any other fun facts for me here?
Well, actually, funnily enough, her character was almost played by Jennifer Lawrence, which I'm not sure what that would have been like. Because
I can't imagine it being much different, especially 2007 Jennifer Lawrence can't have been much different to 2007 Emma Stone when you think about it.
When I see, maybe this is because of earlier Jennifer Lawrence's career, but when I think of early Jennifer Lawrence, I think of Winter's Bone and sort of a more hardened, colder sort of, characters. So in my head, I can't see her bringing the sort of same heart to it that maybe Emma brought, but I think that's very interesting that we almost could have had Jennifer Lawrence in it.
We could have never had this podcast if Jennifer Lawrence had got it. So
maybe we'd have been doing Jennifer Lawrence talk instead.
It could have been. It could have had a completely different trajectory. So do you wanna give me a? So we're going to do the ratings a bit different this time round, are we not? So we're just going to Because last time we did ratings, it all got a bit mental. I mean,
It did.
we had one for overall movie and we had one for performance. Not performance. We called it performance towards the end, but it was actually
Vin
based
Diesel,
on how Dominic Toretto the movie was for our Vin Diesel podcast.
Yeah.
So this time around, we're just going to consolidate it to one overall score for the movie. We can talk a bit about. I think we can still talk about best performances later, and if we ever do a ranking episode, we're not quite sure what the whole situation will be. But yeah, we can still talk about best performances and stuff later on, maybe. But yeah, so let's just do one score for the overall film. I get 5, you get 5, and we'll make it out of 10 for the ending.
Yeah.
So, Superbad, out of 5, what are you rating it?
I'm gonna go 4. It's a fantastic movie. I think it holds up really well. There are parts of it that don't, and I think it can be its energy is sometimes to its detriment for me personally. But at the same time, I think it's just such a funny film. Like, it's so funny, it's so heartfelt. It just sort of gets everything right, and I know I'm always gonna have a good time with it.
Yeah. And to start us off again with the whole, we have the exact same opinion on everything. I'd also give Superbad a 4. It's iconic, hilarious. Seth Rogen and Bill Hader make me laugh endlessly in anything they're in. So
yeah,
you can't
100%.
Yeah, that entire bit. But yeah, Jonah Hill. It's always nice to see Michael Cera as well. So yeah, 4 out of 5 for me. Which gives it an 8, and it's number 1 in the movie. Now there you go, number 1 Emma Stone movie, guys. So congratulations.
We can just end the podcast there. That's it. Number 1 podcast film is just Superbad.
Moving on to The Rocker, which is a movie from 2008, directed by Peter Cattaneo. It stars Rainn Wilson, obviously Emma Stone, a bunch of others. Christina Applegate's in there.
Lots of cameos.
Gad. Yep, yeah. Cameos from Josh Gad's another main character. Cameos from Bradley Cooper, Will Arnett, Fred Armisen. Jason Sudeikis is in there. It's a stacked comedy cast, but can you tell me the plot to this movie, Awais?
Yes, so Robert Fish is played by Rainn Wilson, and he's an extremely talented drummer, and he plays for this band, Vesuvius, but he gets dropped by the band when they get picked up to sort of get signed, because the label that wants to sign them wants to replace the drummer with, his son or something. And so sort of for the next 20 years, Fish is just full of regret, obviously, because Vesuvius go on to be a huge sort of band. He loses his job, he loses his, girlfriend, but he sort of sees a second shot at stardom when his nephew, played by Josh Gad, recruits him to sort of play with their band at prom, and he sort of gets a little bit too deep into it and starts them booking gigs and hitting the road with them and taking it a little bit too seriously.
Yeah, and then just chaos ensues from there. It's
like
I said, a stacked cast. I had no clue, but also had no clue this movie existed.
Yeah.
At all. I'd never heard of this movie before. It was a Fox movie from 2008, so you can kind of guess the sort of comedy era we're in. A late 2000s comedy is just very much a run-of-the-mill sort of... It was just sort of run-of-the-mill, very paint-by-numbers situation in terms of that kind of overall story. I think the beginning bit, the prologue sequence is quite funny. I'm getting chucked out the band. I thought that was quite amusing. Then it just sort of loses its way. I think it never really fully hits the right comedic beats for me. I don't think it ever really... I don't know if Rainn Wilson has the power to sort of lead a movie of this caliber.
Yeah.
And still hold it comedically. There were some chuckles, and I kind of like stuff mainly from Josh Gad. I think Josh Gad was sort of the funnier person in this. Emma Stone, I even forget the other guy's name. I don't even know who it was. The main guitar player with the longer hair. Forget his name. Their sort of love interest sort of situation. It's all very run of the mill as well. It just feels it's so generic. It could be a parody movie in one of the parody movies you see on like a poster in the background of another movie. It is that kind of movie. It's a movie from another movie. It's not a real. It doesn't feel like a real movie in any way. Yeah, just so run of the mill generic and paint by numbers. I don't know what else. I don't know what you thought.
I enjoyed it, but I mean, I agree with all of that. You know, I think I enjoyed it as a sort of like a very sort of disposable Friday morning, you know, easy sort of way to start the day kind of watch. I agree. The prologue is so funny. You've got Rainn Wilson running at like 60 miles an hour, and he's like gets run over, and he comes like it's just it. You know, watching that, I was like, oh, this is, you know, I'm in for a good time, and I think it is charming, but it's just a bit generic. I have to agree. I don't think Rainn Wilson was good casting.
No.
I get what they were going for, but just considering the talent in this film, like, you know, Bradley Cooper, Jason Sudeikis, you know, Will Arnett, there was like you could have taken any of those other actors and put them in that role, and it probably would have been so much more investing. I don't know what I didn't love his performance.
I think if you switch Rainn for Fred Armisen, who is one of the people in the original band, Fred Armisen is hilarious in basically anything he does, and I think he would have been such a great lead for this movie. Anyone from that era, Saturday Night Live, would have been a great lead for this movie. I could have seen Andy Samberg in this movie. Like he seems like another. He's just not old enough yet. He would have been old enough at the time, but an Andy Samberg now maybe would have been sort of the right.
I agree.
Age, but. Yeah, it's just such a miscast. I just don't think he really has the chops to sort of carry it.
The jokes that were supposed to be funny, like his arrogance that was supposed to come across as funny, just came across as annoying. Yeah. I think, and like the sort of traits that were supposed to be like comedic and sort of flaws and things that he works on, to me were really grating. And like my favorite part of this film is the dynamic between the sort of three teenagers. Again, I forget that. I also forget the third guy's name.
Yeah, I don't know their names. I don't know their names at all. I know them as Emma, Josh, and the other one.
Yeah. I enjoyed that the most. You know, I enjoyed their sort of experience with stardom. But again, the film doesn't focus on that enough. Like, I thought Emma Stone was genuinely great in it.
Yeah.
When she gets really a chance to, like, like, her character was probably, you know, not to say one of the most interesting, but, like, she seemed like the most interesting. The film just never, like, peeled back those layers, really. There's, like, a couple of scenes, maybe, but...
She's the only girl in it as well. It could have been such an interesting sort of dynamic as well to focus on the fact that she's the only girl in this sort of, like, rock scene at the moment, like...
Exactly, because they talk about that. They talk about how she's this sort of, you know, strange punk rock girl, and, you know, the guys have this sort of desire, you know, for girls and stuff, and I think that would have been such an interesting dynamic to sort of peel back at, but we don't get in, like, you know, there's a couple of scenes where we sort of see a little bit of it, but, like, it's not enough, I think.
No,
in my opinion.
It really isn't. No, I don't think it really is at all. Like I say it once again. It's just so, just generic for the time. You've seen this movie before. I feel like you've watched this movie before. You've watched.
Yeah.
It follows all the same kind of structures. It follows all the same kind of like the falling out at the end and then getting back together. Like in the last 20 minutes for some reason they always seem to do that in these kind of movies.
Any band movie. School of Rock. Watch School of Rock instead. School of Rock is it. To me, School of Rock is The Rocker, but better. It's the same sort of idea. Mm-hmm. You know, failed rock star looking at a shot. It's like failed rock star wanting redemption. Yeah. And you know what? Like I'm bagging on it a lot. I did enjoy it, but it is just very. There are better movies to be watching, I think.
Yeah. 100%. And yeah, Emma Stone wasted. But what are you going to do? I mean, she's still in a supporting role.
Second role, yeah.
Yeah, she's still not quite there yet. She's still doing her things. I think one of the issues from this comes from people that I think Fox banked too much on Rainn Wilson, because this comes out midway through The Office. This was 2008, so The Office had been on for 3 years at that point.
Makes sense, to be fair, but
they were really hoping for him to just hit the big time, and Yeah, it just doesn't get there. It just doesn't get there at all. We touched on Emma. Do you want to touch on Emma a bit more? I mean, is there much else to say?
There's not much else to say. I mean, she's, you know, again a small supporting role. I think it's a testament to how good she is that she is probably one of the best parts of it. She also learned to play bass for the movie, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I will say this. This, to me, seems like a first film. This was obviously her second. This came after Superbad. This feels like a first film.
Yeah.
And Superbad feels like a sort of later in the career, you know, second, third film. I think, you know, not to say... Yeah, I just think there's always... First films are usually a bit rough around the edges, trying to find your footing. And yeah, this sort of gives me that impression, certainly more than Superbad did.
Yeah. So what are you thinking for a rating then? What are you thinking out of 5 for The Rocker?
2. I'm probably gonna go 2. I was gonna go 3, but when I think about where we're gonna go in terms of the other films we're gonna discuss, and just in terms of like really, you know, whether I would watch this again, probably not. In all honesty, like it's not awful, but it's also not, you know, there are better ways to spend your time.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention, if you do want to give these a watch, Superbad is on Netflix, and The Rocker is currently streaming on Disney Plus. I would imagine Hulu in the US, depending where you are. So yeah, for me, I thought you were going to go for free. I really did think you were going to go for free, and that's why I'm going to stick. But I'm going to stick with 2 because that's where I think it was. I think that, as soon as I finished the movie, I was like, yeah, no, there's a 2 out of 5 movie. I
was going to go to 3, but I think just, you know, again, as we were talking about, I was sort of thinking in terms of like, you know, other films we're going to talk about, and even just sort of other, like, films of this sort of caliber. And I don't know. It's not as good as some of the other ones.
Yeah. So that gives it a 4 out of 10.
4.
So very
half
much
of Superbad.
And to be honest, it's probably where it should be. Half of what Superbad even is as a comedy movie at all. So, yeah, it's.
What's next?
So yeah, next week we're doing House Bunny and The Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. I have no clue how much of a role she has in these movies, again, because they are so early, and I've not seen either of these movies before, so it'll be very interesting to go back and have a look at that.
I've never seen either. I've never even heard of The Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, I'll be honest.
That's a Matthew McConaughey film, I believe.
Oh my god.
It's a Matthew McConaughey movie.
Emma, like, look, fair enough, say what you want about The Rocker, but, like, look at the cast of Superbad and The Rocker, like...
Yeah.
Emma went straight into that, like,
it's no
and then
wonder.
Matthew McConaughey by her fourth goal. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at. We could just have a look. So again, we'll just talk about what's coming up. So I mean, the week after that, we've got the Paperman and Zombieland. I believe in the UK, Paperman is called The Unlikely Hero or something.
Have you seen it?
I've not seen it.
I have. It's weird in a very good way. It's a very Edinburgh Film Festival movie. In a good way. I enjoyed
Reynolds
it.
in that.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
Yeah. Easy A after that, the week after that, Easy A and Friends of Benefits. I've watched Easy A before. Love that movie.
Yeah.
I believe I've watched Friends of Benefits before, but I can't remember Emma Stone being in it, so I'm worried this is gonna be like a one scene situation where we're gonna be like, yeah. So
we can find out. Yeah, we can maybe reshuffle if that's the case.
Then week after that, Crazy Stupid Love and The Help. Crazy Stupid Love, one of my favorite rom-coms. Easy. It's so funny.
Easy.
Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell in that movie. Great stuff. And The Help. Not seen it before. Bit controversial these days.
I was about to say I'm curious to see that one.
Yeah.
Because of everything that's going on recently.
Moving into the week after that, The Amazing Spider-Man and Gangster Squad. This is her sort of moving into blockbuster territory here now with that. Gwen Stacy, obviously. Yeah, I was massive crush on her in high school, and
same.
So
who didn't?
Yeah.
Who didn't?
And I love those movies. I love the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and always wanted to watch Gangster Squad, and now I have an excuse to watch Gangster Squad. So
never seen it either.
it's great.
I've heard it's the worst of the Gosling Stone films.
Well, we can live out and hope. Well, so after that, also the Croods and the Amazing Spider-Man 2. So
Nice.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting week. Week after that, Magic and Moonlight. You ever seen that? Woody Allen, I think.
No, never even heard of it. To be fair,
You never heard of it? And also
No.
Birdman and the Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, whatever it's called. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
which
Great
is just
film.
an iconic
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Iconic. Oh god! And then another controversial one after the week after that, Aloha, and Irrational Man.
Right.
I mean, yeah,
Right.
it's. She
Great.
herself apologizes for Aloha. To be fair, she does
Yeah.
not. Yeah, can't believe she took it though. But yeah, oh my god.
Great.
Yeah, and then you get to the last half year. I mean, La La Land and Battle of the Sexes the week after that. I mean, Battle of the Sexes, such a surprise for me. Underrated, I think. No one really talks
Yeah.
about it. I really enjoyed Battle of the Sexes. La La Land, obviously iconic and very, very much rated. So it's fine. It's fine in that part. Yeah, the favorite after that, favorite in Zombieland 2, and then the Croods 2 and Cruella. So it was really, really up to date. I mean, yeah.
From the ones that you've not seen, which one are you most intrigued to see? Do you think? From the films that you haven't seen of Emma's.
Paperman, just off of what you've said, I think that's one
Yeah.
that's really interested me a little bit. There's random ones like Irrational Man I've never heard of before in my entire life.
Yeah.
Never seen it,
It's
never heard of it.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix in that one. Gangster Squad, of course, for reasons already mentioned.
Yeah.
That's one I've wanted to watch since I was wee. Well, not wee, but, like a teenager.
Since
So
he was
it's,
a wee boy.
Yes, since I was a wee bab, I've always wanted to watch Gangster Squad. But my mum wouldn't let me. But yeah, no, it wasn't even that. I just hadn't. I couldn't go and see it in the cinemas because I didn't really go to the cinemas. I had it in my Prime watch list on Prime Video when I first got Prime Video. I had it in that
Oh, nice.
for ages. I never watched it for some reason, despite the fact I've always wanted to watch it. Just one of those ones. But yeah, a great filmography. I don't know. This is just a bad time. I don't know what else to talk about really other than that. But that's the look ahead for the coming weeks, and that'll take us right through to November.
Some good weeks in there, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm personally looking forward to the Croods and the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Very different films, but also just both very fun films, I think, to talk
You a big
about.
fan of the Croods? I would have taken you for a man that likes the Croods.
We'll see. We'll find out whether I am or not. I saw the Croods 2. I saw the Croods 2 pretty recently though. Because it's obviously out at the time of recording this. It's out in cinemas.
Making my way through that on Hulu right now, but I've not finished it yet. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, that does it for the first episode of Emma Stoners. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, Emma Stoners.
Emma Stoners, a 35-minute movies podcast. You can find more of this on our YouTube channel, 35-minute movies. You can find our Vin Diesel series and our old sort of news-based series we did. No, that's not on there, but on the Spotify it is. So if you go to Spotify, iTunes, all that, you can find all the podcasts we've ever done. You can go to ohifilms.com. That's my website where I post reviews, and also have another podcast with Geordie Steele called Four Eyes and a Giant, which is a great watch. We do nerdy topics, and then kind of just a general discussion of what we watched that week. I'm on Twitter at CamzoOG and Instagram. So yeah, just follow me there and you get lots of updates from me. What about you, Awais? Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Awais. Always tweeting about movies and life stuff, and on thefilmbite.com, where I occasionally post reviews and stuff. So yeah, I can't believe we're doing this. Emma Stone.
Yep. Emma Stone. I'm glad we nearly talked about moving into doing the old format again, but I'm glad we're keeping with this because it does make me watch the movies, and I like the fact that
we've got a plan. We've got a plan for the future as well.
We have a great plan. We've
got a plan. We've got a plan.
We've got a great plan. So yeah, next week is The House Bunny and Ghost of Girlfriend's Past. Please join us then. Get subscribed, and get following, and please share your friends. We'll see you next week with more Emma Stone.